Hello, business communicators. Today we are going to take some time to talk about professional presentations. The information presented in this PowerPoint will correspond with the information in Chapter 14 of your textbook. Whenever we get ready to make a professional presentation, it's very important that we take some time to consider who is our audience. Audience members typically fall into 4 different categories based on their attitude: friendly audience members, neutral audience members, disinterested audience members, or hostile audience members. The audience attitude will have a lot to do with how you organize your presentation, how you deliver your presentation, and what type of supporting material you use. We are covering this chapter now because we are beginning to think about making our proposal presentations at the end of the semester. And when you make your proposal presentation at the end of the semester, I want you to think about presenting for a friendly audience. When we present for a friendly audience, we can try new things. We can use any pattern of organization. We can try to involve the audience. Our delivery style should be warm and pleasant. Friendly audiences appreciate lots of smiles and lots of eye contact. And if your audience is friendly, it's a good idea to use humor, personal examples, and experiences. The next category of audience member is going to be a neutral audience member. A neutral audience member is one that is neither friendly nor unfriendly. Maybe they just haven't made up their mind how they feel about you or about your topic. If you are presenting in front of a neutral audience, it's good to present both sides of the issues. Use a pro-con arrangement or a problem-solution arrangement. If you're presenting in front of a neutral audience, it's also a really good idea to save time for audience members to ask questions. If they haven't decided how they feel yet, give them time to ask questions so you can address any concerns that they might have. For a neutral audience, you should be controlled and not showy with your body language. Use lots of eye contact and also small gestures. Friendly audiences are typically most captivated by facts and statistics. They like expert opinions. If you're presenting for a neutral audience, it's best to avoid humor or flashy visuals or personal stories. The next type of audience member is an uninterested or a disinterested audience member. Uninterested audiences typically like brief presentations. Don't speak any longer than you have to, and try to include no more than 3 talking points. In order to capture an uninterested audience, try to be dynamic and entertaining with your delivery style. Move around the room. Use large gestures. And also for an uninterested audience, it's a good idea to use humor, colorful visuals, powerful quotations, and statistics. However, for an uninterested audience member, you should never darken the room. You should not stand motionless, and you should not pass out handouts. All of these things may tempt the audience member to pay even less attention than they already are. Also, if your audience member is already disinterested, it's also a good idea to avoid audience participation. It's very, very awkward to try to get people to participate that don't want to participate. Our next type of audience member and our final type of audience member is a hostile audience member. And hostile audience members are exactly what they sound like. When you are speaking to a hostile audience, do your best to be calm and controlled. Include objective data and expert opinion. Hostile audience members typically do not like personal anecdotes or humors. Another important tip to remember if speaking to a hostile audience is try to avoid a question and answer period. If possible, use a moderator for question and answers or accept only written questions. I always say it's a bad idea to give an angry person a microphone. And so now that you've thought a little bit about the type of audience that you will be speaking to, let's talk about content arrangement. It can be said that when you give a presentation, it's really just 3 easy steps. Number 1, tell people what you're going to tell them. Number 2, tell them that thing. And then number 3, tell them what you've already told them. Or, put another way, have an intro, a body, and a conclusion. In the intro of the presentation, you should include 4 pieces of information. The very first thing that should come out of your mouth in any presentation is some sort of an attention getter. Ask a question, make an unexpected statement, give a fact or statistic, a quote, tell a story, something that captures the audience attention. Before you introduce yourself, before you dive into the presentation, before you tell them what you're going to talk about, do something that captures the audience's attention. Once you have the audience's attention captured, that would be the appropriate time to establish yourself and to establish your credibility. Capture their attention and then tell them who you are. Once you've established your credibility, tell them the main points. Tell them the 3 or 5 main things that you're going to be talking about in the presentation, and then state your thesis clearly. So this intro might sound something like, how many of you in here are afraid of failing business communication this semester? Well, I am Kira Solon, and I am your business communication professor, and I'm here to tell you today that you don't need to worry about failing. By the end of this presentation, I hope that you understand why you're a good business communication student, how I can help you, and ways to ensure your success. That would be an example of an intro, where I first captured attention, I established my credibility, I told people what they were going to learn, and the main 3 or 5 things that they would be learning throughout the presentation. Up here on the screen are a number of different ways that you can grab the audience's attention. You can make a promise, ask a question, do a demonstration, give a statistic, give a quote, show a reason for self-interest. Why does this appeal to the audience? Sometimes the way that we dress or our eye contact, our movement can also be great ways to grab attention. A pause before you start speaking can be attention-getting, or using props and visuals can also be recommended. Once you have got through the introduction of your presentation, it will be time to move into the body of your presentation. For the body of your presentation, it's a good idea to typically use 3 to 5 main points. Because the length of this presentation that you are getting ready for, the proposal presentation, is fairly short, I would encourage you to use only 3 main points in this presentation. In addition to including your main points, it's a good idea to preview that main point, summarize the main point, and switch directions. Using repetition throughout the presentation will make for a very cohesive presentation. So a preview may sound something like, now I'm going to tell you about all the resources that are available to you to help pass business communication. And then I would give you all the different resources. And then at the end of that, I would say, and so now you know about office hours, the Writing Center, and additional resources on Blackboard. Then I would switch directions. So next, I would like to tell you about, then whatever you tell them about next. Previewing, summarizing, and switching directions are very, very important when you are moving from body content to body content in your presentation. Finally, we have the conclusion. So once you have given those 3 to 5 main points of information to your audience, then you want to move into the conclusion. In the conclusion, again, we have 3 steps. We summarize the main themes. So today I told you about A, B, and C. And then we leave the audience with a takeaway. So after hearing this information, I hope that you understand that you too can be successful in business communication. And then, perhaps most importantly, we use a statement that allows you to leave gracefully. So often when we watch presenters present, they just sort of end. They get to the end of their presentation and they're like, that's all, and then they scurry back to their seats. We want to try to close with impact. So after hearing this information, I hope that you understand that you too can be another business communication success story. This is a much stronger ending than simply moving on to the end of your presentation. Now that we have gone through the entire presentation structure, I want to remind you that a presentation is really very simple 3 steps. Have an introduction, and in the introduction you should tell the audience what you're going to tell them. Have a body section, and in the body you're going to tell the audience what you need to tell them. And then finally, have a conclusion section. In the conclusion, you're going to tell the audience what you have already told them. I hope this presentation has been helpful for you in planning your upcoming proposal presentations.